In the wake of the tragic loss of the MP Jo Cox this year, a group of people have come together and released a charity single in memory of her, which is quite lovely. And we're joined on the line by Ian Cawsey from parliamentary rock band MP4. Hi, Ian.
Hello.
How are you doing this evening?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Getting ready for Christmas and all the rest, but it's an exciting time of the year.
Well, tell us a little bit about who you are. What is MP4 other than a file format?
Exactly. Well, we're a band that formed a few years ago now. All members of Parliament at the time. Pete Wishart is a Scottish National Party MP for Perth and North Perthshire. He got elected, I think, back in 2001. And he came with some very serious rock pedigree. He was a keyboard player in Runrig, a huge band in Scotland and indeed across Europe. And before that, he'd been in a band called Big Country, who'd also been a very big band back in the 80s. So he was very keen to get some music going in Parliament, and he knew I'd been a professional musician as well. And so we got chatting about it, and we were talking about we thought we'd easily get a guitarist, because any group of people, there's always somebody who thinks they can play guitar at least. But we'd struggle to get a drummer. And I actually said that to Pete. I said, I've no idea who would get as a drummer. And actually, just as we were having that conversation, fate took a hand, and Greg Knight, the Tory MP for East Yorkshire, was walking behind us and heard the conversation and said, if you need a drummer, I'm your man. So we formed the band. We were going to be MP3, but then Kevin Brennan, a Labour MP for Cardiff West, he heard about the band, and he basically begged and pleaded and cried and moaned, excuse me, until we agreed to have him in the band.
Oh, brilliant. So what would you kind of say your style is? Are you parliamentary rock, or are you a bit more eclectic?
Well, one thing we definitely know is that we are the world's only parliamentary rock band, so that ipso facto makes us the best one. But our style is, I would say it's kind of guitar-based rock songs, so we like doing stuff. We cover a whole range of eras, so we do songs by Adele, but we also do songs by the Beatles. People who are a little more unkind would say we're classic dad rock. So I suppose just you pays your money and takes your choice there. But we like doing sort of upbeat rocky stuff, and with Pete in the band and me on bass, our backgrounds are very much that style. So it was always going to be that way. But it seems to work, and people like it.
So, is it difficult being from different political parties? I mean, most people we know, would find it difficult not to kind of tear into each other over their political beliefs. Yet, you managed to seem to have a harmonious band. Well,
the thing is that so there are four of us, and we cover three political parties. Kevin and I are Labour, and Pete's SNP, and Greg is Conservative. The only political arguments in the band are between me and Kev, because we're both Labour, so we've got to row all the time, otherwise we wouldn't be fulfilling the responsibility of being in the party.
Yes.
But other than that, no, we don't. And I suppose the simple truth is that it's the day job, the politics, especially for the other three. I'm no longer a member of Parliament, but for the other three, it's the day job. So when we get together in the evening to do some rehearsing and maybe to play a gig, then actually it's kind of like anything else, isn't it? I mean, if you just have a long, hard day in the office, when you go out with somebody, the last thing you want to do is just to talk about what you've just done. So actually we find it almost therapeutic when we get away. I mean, look, it's like any workplace to a certain extent, I suppose, and that is that if one of the band is getting some stick for something that is in the newspapers or whatever, or maybe their party is, then you're not going to get away from the others pulling people's legs and having a laugh about it. That just goes with the territory. But we never have any serious arguments. There's all day to do that.
So talk to us a bit about the Christmas single and what it's in aid of.
Well, okay, the Christmas single, we were in the studio early in the year recording some tracks anyway, because we've had a couple of recordings out in the past, and we thought it was a good time to do a third one. And so we were recording anyway, and we have a fantastic record producer in Robin Miller. Robin's produced like absolutely everybody. He did Sade's Smooth Operator and all those kinds of stuff, and Fine Young Cannibals, and many. I think he's had a hand in 170 chart singles over his career.
Wow.
And he's been producing us. And he always had this idea about doing the Rolling Stones song, and you can't always get what you want. And we recorded a backing track for that. But when we played it back, we thought it would be fantastic to get a choir in. Now, there is a parliamentary choir, so we thought that would be quite nice as well to have MP4 and the parliamentary choir on the same track, and that's really where it began. But once we started thinking about it more, and then, of course, there was all of this news around the tragic death of Jo Cox, and then the formation of the foundation to keep her memory going. But we thought there was an obvious link to do that. And then Robin, with his connections in the music industry, said, well, I reckon I can get some guest vocalists to appear as well. And so we have. And so what we've got now is we've got Ricky Wilson at the Kaiser Chiefs, David Gray, Katie Tunstall, and also Steve Harley used to be in Cockney Rebel, which was a band that were very popular back in the day. And they're doing all the lead vocals. And so it was something that came together really well, and it's been a big success so far.
Wonderful cause, and a great story of how it all kind of came together from the beginning. Who do you think are your sort of biggest competition for the Christmas number one slot?
Well, I haven't particularly been following it all that closely, if I'm honest, but I mean, I think we all know every year that the biggest one is always going to be the X Factor, and that's around. But there are other songs around as well. I saw one on the television yesterday, which I think it sounded to me like it was a load of firefighters singing about chip pan fires or something. So there's always some novelty stuff kicking around as well. You know, I mean, for us, it was never really about whether we got to be Christmas number one or not, although obviously the better it does, the more exciting that is. What we wanted to come out of this was to both raise awareness that the Jo Cox Foundation now exists, and therefore the work she was most interested in will continue whilst the public support it, and then also to raise money, because the great thing about the single is that everybody's done it for free. So all the performers were free, all the production people were free, the record company did it for free, and we even got to this state where Mick Jagger and Keith Richards agreed to waive their royalties on the song, which after all they created.
Oh, wow.
And that was a marvellous thing, because of course, much to our horror, during the year, we'd recorded this track, had all these ideas for it, and then Donald Trump started using it as his presidential campaign theme, much to the annoyance of the Rolling Stones, who of course, wrote to complain and wanted it withdrawn, although it never was. So to actually get the support and backing of Mick Jagger and Keith Richards of the single was fantastic, and we're very proud of that. But we're realistic. I mean, we know, and we obviously know how sales are going. This is not a Christmas number one, but what it is going to do, it's been top 10 in iTunes, it's been top 3 in the independent charts. It's already raised £40,000 for the Jo Cox Foundation, and it doesn't finish now just because it's Christmas. It's still out there, it's still available, and if people buy it, it continues to raise money and awareness of the Jo Cox Foundation.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Congratulations on raising all that money so far. That's amazing. And we can only hope that continues, because it is a really fantastic cause, and I think it's a really powerful message that people from across the political spectrum that work in politics in the UK have come together to make that happen, as well as a few celebrity names there. And I mean, for all I know, Katie Tunstall could be planning on becoming a member of Parliament. I've no idea, really.
Well, it'd be great if she did. She was very impressive on the day.
Yes, and it's very interesting to hear that you were able to get the rights to the song as well. I suppose it's almost like Mick Jagger was saying to you, "You're not Donald Trump, and I'm okay with that."
Yes, I think there's definitely that, and also, I mean, look, people make their own choices about all politicians, but I think and I suppose in an election campaign, if any one side uses your track, people perhaps think they're being dragged into one camp. But the great thing about the Friends of Jo Cox single is that you didn't have to be in one camp. The camp was Jo, and everybody's in that camp anyway. So it's a comfortable place for people to be, enable lots of people to come forward. And, as well as the parliamentary choir, I should say that there were at least 25 members of Parliament who came along to sing as well. And what we had to do is we had to sort of strategically place them across all of the choir, so that you couldn't necessarily hear them all. But nevertheless, the fact that they gave their day to be part of the project, I think again shows that people really did want to do something that would make a mark, and people would always remember was done this year to commemorate Joe's death. And I think whatever happens, that goal has been achieved.
And what a positive thing to do towards the end of a year that I think people are maybe struggling to find a little bit of hope in.
And I should also say, by the way, that actually, and big thanks to Robin again, our producer here, it's a really good version. I mean, it's really well produced, and there are some fantastic performances in it. So it's not even just a cheesy Christmassy thing for a good cause. I mean, if it has nothing to do with charity, it's a good track in its own right.
We'll give the listeners a chance to judge that for themselves shortly, and certainly encourage everyone to go and purchase that on iTunes or Amazon or whatever your preferred method of getting songs these days are. Can you buy physical CDs anymore? Can you get it on a physical CD?
You can. I mean, it won't be available in the shops, but there's a site called Pledge Music, and if you go to Pledge Music, which I think is pledgemusic.co.uk, or just type in Pledge Music, Friends of Joe Cox, it comes up there, and you can order online there, and you will get the physical CD.
I don't think most people have a CD player anymore, but
it's a nice thing to have nonetheless. Yeah.
I've still got a record player. I'm all about vintage. Last but not least, you've obviously done this single, but one of the other big projects that you work on as a band this year is that you've been the house band on Matt Ford's Unspun, which is on Dave, I believe. What's it like to be TV legends as well as parliamentary legends?
Well, I'm not sure I recognise that description, but it's been a fantastic experience. It was a great series to work on. We all know Matt of old anyway, so it was a very comfortable place to be working with somebody that we all know and like. It was good fun. I mean, it was difficult. I won't deny that, because it was recorded midweek right out at Elstree, which is a long way from the centre of London, and there are parliamentary commitments as well. So the diary juggling was a little bit difficult at times, but it was well worth it, because I think just anyway, television was looking for something new in the political satire stakes, and I think Matt's idea but Matt's been doing his political party stage show for quite a long time now, and I think Unspun really came out of that. And so the idea that he'd look at the weekly news, do a bit of stand-up, have an interview with a big name from politics, hopefully one that's in the news at the time, I think all of that was great anyway. But personally, I think it was a stroke of genius by Matt to have the idea that, like many chat shows, there'd be a house band, but to have a house band of politicians for a political show, I thought was an inspired choice, and it was great fun to make. And since then, we did last week, we did a stage show version of it at the Leicester Square Theatre, where there was Matt and MP4, but as guests we had Ed Balls and Alistair Campbell. And that was completely sold out. So I think that hopefully shows that there is a desire for this, and we'll do more of these kind of things together going forward. I mean, I think, as Matt said afterwards, who would have thought ever there would be a show in the West End which, when it finished at the end of the night, there was a group of politicians playing music in the background, Alistair Campbell in a kilt playing the bagpipes, and Ed Balls dancing Gangnam Style across the stage. I mean, you can't pay money for that. What else could you pay money for?
Well, I think that is the changing face of politics right there.
Indeed.
Very sorry.
I think I could definitely say that everybody that was there will never forget it. But it's great, and we hope that we'll do more with that in the future, and it would be great. I mean, I think Unspun was a great show, and obviously it's up to other people, but it would be great if it came back.
Well, thank you so much for coming on this evening and joining us to chat about MP4 and about the single and the stuff that you've been up to. It's been a real pleasure having you on, and we'll be looking and checking in and seeing how the single goes and how much money gets raised. £40,000 already is fantastic, just so good.
Yeah, thanks very much, and Merry Christmas to you and all your listeners.
Well, thank you very much, and a Merry Christmas to you too.
Okay, bye for now.